So hi, my name is Vanessa. I consider myself as a bridge between human and technology, bringing well-being and human consciousness to technology and vice versa. Today we have a conference about human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Who leads? It's really about, well, the future. Is it going to be only a future where artificial intelligence is deciding of everything, is managing our society and the way that we work as humans? Or do we have a power inside that we always have had, but that it's finally time that we get to know it, to know how it works, to know how powerful we are, and how we can activate that knowledge and that intelligence that we have to work hand in hand with artificial intelligence. Welcome everyone, and super cool that you had the patience also to wait, that we start on time. So now we're starting with the event on human intelligence versus artificial intelligence, and kind of that huge debate of who is leading, who is going to lead, and what's happening with artificial intelligence and us humans. I wanted to start actually with you, and with an opening with a debate and a very quick experiment. So if we consider there is a debate and there is like kind of a fight, a war, a division between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, raise the hand who thinks that in 5 years' time, AI is going to win. Okay, you can keep your hands up. So it's not a lot of people. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for being the strangers who believe that. In 10 years' time, is there something changing? Do you believe that with more time, AI might win over humans?
Define win.
I chose that word on purpose, so thank you for bringing it up. But yeah, okay. And who thinks now AI has some power over the humans? Okay, cool. So you do believe there is a change that is coming, I guess. Okay, super cool. Maybe a few of you, if you feel spontaneously that you want to share, why? Why do you think so? Why maybe do you think that AI will lead the way in some years, and some others that think that right now AI has some power, but later it's not going to be the case? Why? Why do you think so?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think that the humans will always have like skills, advantages that the AI cannot do. Mm-hmm. I think the AI, my company's with AI, so for me it's everything, the AI. But I think there are some things that I will never do with AI. For my customers, for example, for the face,
The connection?
the connection, yes.
Okay.
Of course, it's quicker. You have access to information and everything is done in seconds. But the connection, I think, will never be done by the AI.
Yeah. It is a lot about how you define things. What is a real definition of consciousness then? Is it something that humans only have access to? Or AI can somehow be trained in that and we can infuse that in it? So yeah, the debate is huge, and I guess we are all here because it calls us somehow. We feel it somehow that there is something and we want to be part of it. We want to do good with it. So yeah. My personal opinion is I really don't believe that either will win. I do believe in a future where artificial intelligence and human intelligence will work hand in hand together. Just because they're different, we don't serve the same purposes, we are not made with the same tools. And we can work hand in hand if we choose so. My vision on it is that AI right now is not here to replace humans, as some media say it, or the big fear that that is diffused. But AI is just putting a lot of light on the shadow of we just don't know who we are as humans. We don't know about the intelligence that we have. We have not learned about it. We have not learned it in school. We have not learned it from our parents. And that's not a problem. There is not a critic with that. But it's just a stage now that AI is showing us what is missing in us as humans, and it's showing us what we forgot to be. So that's to me the whole point of the topic of what is human intelligence. It's a very special moment in history right now, and a moment that to me is calling for a bridge, like a bridge and un puente between humans and technology. A bridge that is between, well, the consciousness and the coding with consciousness with the coding, We have data, but we also have a heart. How can we bring a bridge between that? There is intelligence, artificial intelligence, human intelligence, and all sorts of intelligence, and there is also wisdom. So how can we connect all of that? And right now, to me, as the fire was a moment, a big crossroad in the evolution of humans, right now is also a crossroad that is putting everything into question and that is making us wonder how to behave next. And we have been building artificial intelligences that learn much faster than we do, that execute much faster than we do from their capacity, but we are not putting so much emphasis on learning what it means to be human. Maybe you know about those big questions that the Buddhists also mention a lot is, who are we and why are we here? So those are the questions that AI right now is putting into light and is forcing us to really consider and to look at. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know yet why you're here, my name is Vanessa. I put some words of who I am, but that's not the most important. What I really do believe in and what I'm here to do is do that bridge, to bring that bridge between kind of an old world, let's call it that way, and a new world. Because I don't know about you, but just in the few last months, so much has changed. So much has changed, like outside, when you look at the economics, the politics, the society, just so much has changed. Many of us are feeling an awakening in those questions inside, and if it's not yet the case, I can bet my hand and whatever you want that it's gonna be the case soon for you. Just, there is a bridge, and I like to bring that bridge, I like to connect things together. That's what I do with most of the projects that I'm leading also. Just for a small background, but I was coming from a corporate background. I've been working during 13 years back in Belgium for large corporations, for international brands, in business, in marketing, in leadership of teams. Then the awakening happened, and I started to also, gather knowledge about some other kind of stuff. So I certified in life coaching, I'm a yoga teacher, I guide meditations, different type of therapies that just bring the importance to me on empowering people. We are all different. You have your reasons to be here. You have your reason to be here. And all of us have our own tools. And that is, to me, what is calling right now and what I want to share with all the projects that I'm initiating. So I'm giving trainings on human intelligence, emotional intelligence, the intelligence of the heart, some of the things that I want to share with you today. I also founded a collective of therapists because it's not anymore about separation. It's really about getting together in all our unicities that I'm going to share with you also after. But this is a little who I am. And aside of that, I'm a big nerd, loving neuroscience. I love kindness. I love people. I love good food also. And I'm just a human just like you with wet hands at the moment. And my heart is beating also. Something that was really striking me when I was preparing the presentation for you and just in all the talks that I have had with people is, to me, AI is just bringing a whole mirror on who we are. And if you think about it and kind of break it down, AI is really designed to think, to optimize, to predict. It can gather data, it can treat data much faster than we can do. It can build a business plan from scratch. You can just prompt it in ChatGPT and you're going to have kind of a base of a very good business plan. It can read and gather thousands of books, of documentaries, of articles, and give you a summary in 2 seconds. Those are the things that AI can do. And that, to me, starts to raise the question of what does it mean to be human? So if I ask you the question, who are you? Just a second, you with yourself, who are you? And you answer it with yourself, I am. Who are you? Most of the time, and also from what we have learned from children, we're defining ourselves by our work, what we do, and kind of the output, what we've been bringing out, what can be shown in the world, and what is valued in the world. I like to take that example of, take the example of a CTO, a Chief Technology Officer, a person that dedicates 10 years, for example, of his life to build a whole system, a whole technology. 10 years of his whole life, and that defines himself by I am the CTO of that company. And then right now, you have AIs coming that are constructed that in 1 month time can maybe do exactly the same that that person has taken 10 years to do, much faster, much more efficient. How do you think that that person feels, and what do you think that he thinks of himself or herself, if it's a women CTO, when that is happening? And I'm pretty sure that that example is quite extreme because it's really like about the dedication of a whole life, but I'm pretty sure that that has happened to any one of you here, of something that you were considering yourself, that you were putting your identity in, I am this, but then an AI can do it much better, much faster. So to me, it really brings the question of our identity. Am I a creative person? I have ideas. Is that enough? Do I value that? How are you going to receive that? It's going to be like, yeah, she has ideas. Cool. Like, or it's how do you value yourself also? Do you value your being? Do you value your ideas, for example? Or do you give them value and do you give value to yourself only if that example, that idea is transformed into a startup that makes 10 million pesos a year, or 100 if you want to. It really brings that question of what do we value? How do we value ourselves? Do you value kindness? Do you value just presence, being there? And it's work. I'm not saying like those are words, but it's not easy. Do you give value to that of spending a whole day of your time just being present and listening to a person that needs it or wants it? Or do you think, okay, that was a whole day, I did my action, but I could have spent that time to do something else, to be something else, to be more value to something else. So, well, in a very long story, very short, this is the essence of the things. Those are the questions that we are forced to look at right now. It's about our identity, how we value ourselves. And then there is another big difference to me between humans and AI, is AI cannot feel. AI cannot sense meaning to something. AI cannot connect. I'm going to look at you every time that I'm going to say connect. But AI cannot connect. The problem is not AI. The problem is that we humans, we don't feel. We avoid our feelings. We don't connect. We don't look at the real meaning of things and the real meaning of our presence here. So yeah, AI is much better than us at the moment just because we are not ourselves. We are not our super powerful humans. I mean, honestly, like right now I'm talking about it and I love to talk about it and I love to open the minds and the hearts about it. It's just not easy. Like when we have to face ourselves with who am I then, those are just super hard questions. So yeah, just know that we are all in this together. You're not alone, where even if we are not used to talk about those things, that is a topic. We should talk about it. We should talk about all those things. So well, hopefully that talk and the many others, because I'm not the only one talking about this and it's a good thing, hopefully that is gonna make us connect more and just dare to share a little more and be a bit more vulnerable and walk that path together. Yeah. The sentence that to me resumes that is that as long as us humans, we don't go deep into what makes us humans, well, first, we're going to be stuck. As humans, we're going to be stuck at that point that we are right now. But also, it's more than that, is that we're going to infuse that stuckness into AI. Because AI reflects our collective data. We are infusing our information. We are guiding AI at the moment. So all our fears, all our biases, all our disconnection, that is what, even unconsciously, we're bringing in AI. Our genius, we could also infuse our genius in AI if we are connected to our genius and we know what it is and we know what it means. But AI is a direct reflection of the collective data and the collective wisdom, the collective humanity at the moment. So to me, the question is not like who is going to win. It's really who's going to lead. And AI can be super, super good at executing and to follow the data, but we can choose a direction and we have to choose a direction wisely. So yeah, we started to answer a little that question, but maybe a few of you, and just shout out spontaneously, what is, according to you, what makes us human? ¿Qué nos hace humanos? Feelings?
I'd say the capacity for language,
Okay.
to be linguistic beings.
Super interesting.
Empathy.
Empathy?
Rationality.
Sorry?
Rationality.
Rationality? Okay, interesting.
Mistakes.
Mistakes? Okay, cool.
Initiative.
Initiative, okay. Somebody else?
Creativity.
Creativity, yes. I love that one.
Focus.
Focus, okay.
Purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
Intuition.
Nice. Cool. Well, consciousness? And how would you define consciousness?
When the moment you can see or you can touch the sense. How do you say when I feel and I think and I see no sé,
Sí.
todo lo que forma el cuerpo.
Sí. Sí. Well, consciousness. Sí, okay, pero interesante. Entonces, so the feelings with the body awareness, but also how you think and feel about that. Okay. Thank you for sharing. A few of you have been mentioning something about the thinking and the rationalizing also. So the mind is has been very important, and mind matters. Like, I'm not here to say that the mind doesn't matter. Mind matters, but somehow in society we have been defining intelligence just linked to the mind. So think you, who do you think is an intelligent person around you? Most of the time, when we think of an intelligent person, we think of a brain smart, a brain intelligence, a thinking intelligence. And the thing is that is exactly what AI can do. Much better than us, much faster than us. Rationalizing, thinking, predicting, organizing, executing. The mind is super useful, but it's limited. And right now, because AI is here and because AI can do all of that much better than we can do it, it's really asking that either we redefine, either we expand the definition of intelligence. The good news is it was already there, like we don't have to invent new things, we don't have to be creative, we just have to connect to things that were already present. And I mean, among those, and of course I have my own bias, so I'm gonna share with you a little more about the things that I believe in sharing, but your body has a whole intelligence. I'm not talking only about doing sports and like being able to stretch. The body itself, your intuition, everything that you can activate with the body is an intelligence. Your emotions are an intelligence. Your energy is intelligence also. Your heart is a super important intelligence, and I'm going to explain you why just after. Coming from the world of emotional intelligence, that's one of the things that I'm training and giving a lot of workshops on, and Daniel Goleman, who's one of the best-selling authors on emotional intelligence, he has that theory about 8 types of intelligence. So you were mentioning the linguistic, the languages. So in the 8 types of intelligences that he is defining, he's talking about linguistic intelligence, so being very intelligent with words, with languages. There is the intrapersonal. So intrapersonal is me with myself. How aware can I be of myself? How can I know what is happening? Really my intelligence of myself. There is the interpersonal, so me with you, with others, communication, empathy, connection. How can we be intelligent with each other? There is also a nature intelligence. Think about a gardener. A gardener or people that is planting fruits and trees has a nature intelligence. He has a deep connection and a sense that is super developed with nature. So we all have different type of intelligences, and that's why it's so important, because we're so unique. Everybody is unique in that. There is a logical mathematical, which is basically the IQ and the thinking and the mathematics, also intelligence. spatial intelligence. An architect has a spatial intelligence. He has specific capacities about that. There is musical intelligence also that we don't all have, but some of us have it. And finally, the bodily kinesthetic. Think of athletes, think of chiropractors. They really have an intelligence with the body. All of that are intelligences because intelligence is multidimensional. It's not only the mind and the brain. It is there, it can be there, but it can also be so many other things. And there are a few of those that I wanted to dig deeper into with you today. And before we start in that, the very first base and root that I do want to share with you today, and that is just a fact, is talking about energy. So not energy in a woo sense, not in a hippie sense. I know I have this necklace, but it's not all hippie. Like energy itself, and I love this quote, and most probably you have heard it. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, of frequency, and of vibration. That was a quote by Nikola Tesla, so more than 200 years ago, talking about energy and frequency and vibration and the science behind that. So basically, when we're talking about energy, and it's just basically super, super important because that is what is defining everything. It's defining your attention right now. It is defining what is happening in your life. It is defining what is happening to you and what is gonna happen to you. All at school, I guess you have all learned, at least me when I was at school, I was taught that cells are made of billions of atoms, and that's it. That was what I learned in biology. I guess that was also the case for you at school. The thing is, okay, it's very nice, but science has evolved since that, and they have been finding out that inside an atom, it's not the smallest particle. There are billions and billions of smaller particles, and the smallest particle ever is called a quantum. That is just what science is showing at the moment. So the question is, what is a quantum? Like if you want to understand how things are, and the smallest thing is a quantum, what is a quantum? And that is the, excuse the word, that is the mind-fucking thing. And it's a good thing to fuck the mind from time to time. It's just a quantum, when you look at it, it's almost only viciousness, nothing. It's 99.9999% of nothing, viciousness, energy, waves of energy, frequencies. And then you have 0.0001% of matter. So that doesn't mean that this is not matter, that there is not matter all around us. Matter is a certain perception that we have of it. But what it does mean is that even though we see reality with a lot of matter, there is a ton more of energy around that. And energy is frequencies, is really waves of energy, frequencies. So you might know from music that sometimes you have waves that do this, sometimes you have waves that do this. They have a different eighth, they have a different bandwidth. That makes their frequency. You can hear it differently when it comes to sound. And the first most, like quantum physics is a big word and seems like a super complicated word. It's not that complicated. It can be very complicated. I'm not negating the work of science, but it can be also very easily understandable. And one of the easy things to understand about it is one principle that helps you understand everything that happens is a principle of coherence. So when you have two waves that are oscillating at the same frequency, what happens is that they enter in coherence. They really come together like they're attracted by each other and they enter in coherence, in resonance. So that is, maybe some of you know about the secret, about the laws of the universe, of manifesting, all of that. That is basically what it is. It's just basically that when you have two waves oscillating at the same frequency, they come together and they come in coherence. And that is essential to understand as a base principle for everything, because everything in nature, and so also in our body, is wanting to go to harmony. Think of the seasons. It cycles, like the winter needs the summer, it needs the spring, it needs all of that. Everything needs cycle, and everything needs harmony. When you bring chaos in nature, the tendency is gonna be to go back to harmony. And we human beings were exactly the same. It's just that we don't know about that harmony and we don't really respect it, or we just don't know how to do it. But our body, our energy, our field is wanting to go to harmony. And what harmony means is, think of your thoughts. So thoughts are just electric impulses. I think most of you have gone to the hospital one day and maybe have got some scans or EEGs. It's electric impulses. Every electricity, every frequency signals something from a neuron to the other. You might know also that the brain is entering in different stages of frequency. When you're sleeping, it's not the same frequency as when you're actively listening and loving it, like right now. But so your thoughts and everything that is happening here is a certain frequency. The way that you speak, your voice, the words themselves, spelling, the word spelling comes from, well, spelling and casting a spell is exactly the same. Words are energy also. It has a certain frequency. It has an impact on what is happening around you. Your feelings and emotions, of course, they're also energy. Emotion, the word itself, come from emotion, energy in motion. So emotions are reactions of our body that makes us feel a certain way from an energy that has come to our hormones, higher stress, I'm gonna feel something, like it's just a reaction and it's energy in motion. So back to the coherence, think about it. When you think a certain way and you feel a certain way, when you feel the same way that you think and you continue to think the same way that you feel, that is creating a certain coherence. Good or bad, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the coherence and the field that is around you, because that is what is happening. Your thoughts, your words, your feelings, the way that you move, you act, all of that, consciously and unconsciously, this is only 5% of all your energy. Your body has a 95% stored unconscious and subconscious. All of that is a field, and all of that is information, whether coherent or incoherent. And that is super, super, super important to understand, because it also means that wherever coherent or not coherent your field is, it's also exactly what you're attracting. So whatever is happening to you is the sum of what you're thinking, but also your unconscious. That's why the unconscious work is so important. That's why understanding what has happened to us, or traumas, but also good things, is so important. And if all of that is frequency, you have a direct power to influence that and to change that if you choose to and if you want to. I think, well, we purchase brands and we purchase products based on, first, well, an emotional effect. That is, most of the time is because we relate to that, or they make us feel something because we think we need it or we think we want it. So in all of that comes also, of course, all the imprints of what we have learned from school, from our parents, just from the society as it was, and what we think that we need in order to be a good person, to succeed, to all of that. So there is a lot to me in at least the old way of doing marketing, because there are a ton of super good initiatives, and we can talk about it later. There was a girl doing a great talk about it 2 days ago here at the Tech Brand, but at the Tech Week. Brands can have their message. Maybe they're going to reach the people who think they need it or want it or feel relating to that. I am not sure that the more authentic we are and the more we really go back to our essence and our needs and why we're here and what we're really doing and what really has meaning, that many products will continue to sell as much as they do right now. But it's sure that we're coming from a brainwashing in that sense that has worked during many years.
It is the same with the politicians, right? It is the same with the politicians. I mean, the politicians, they say, yes, let's create a better world, better citizens, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, they are rubber all the time in other countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they manipulate the reality,
Yeah.
with energy, with emotion, right?
But that's also why, and somehow that is bringing also to the other topics about that. When we're only using the brain and what we think, somehow your body knows, the intelligence knows. We can, how developed we are, we can feel because we are those electromagnetic fields, we can also feel, when it's developed, feel and understand the field of others, the field of a brand, the field like what they are emitting. And so when there is something that is incoherent, sometimes we try to have logic and to understand what is happening, but we can feel it inside. So I'm pretty sure that that incoherence, there is a day that it's just going to collapse. Now, right now, it might not be the case yet, but that is the whole intelligence of what we have. And that is the intelligence of our field, of what we have and what we emit and also what we can read. And inside that field, what is also super, super important is that, yes, the brain can read and understand a lot, but there is so much more information that is not only filter, it's an amazing filter, but it cannot understand everything. A very good example for that are dolphins. While dolphins are talking and communicating, our human ears cannot hear it, just because it's outside of the range of frequencies that the human body can capture. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that is exactly the same with our field. So because everything is frequency, because we can understand and enter in coherence and capture information when we are in that same frequency, yes, there are some things that we can understand, but there are also a ton of other informations that are around us, but that at the stage of frequency that we are right now, the sum of all of this, we cannot capture. That is why in altered states of consciousness, with meditation, with breath work, with plant medicine, with hypnosis, with just everything that can bring you in altered states of consciousness, you are just in another frequency, and so you can start to capture other information. Hence all the revelations, hence the creativity when your brain is in a theta state, for example. So all of that. So this is a base that got a little longer than what I thought I would share with you. But this is a base that is super, super important because it just defines everything about our intelligence. I wanted to bring you into an experiment. So I'm going to ask you to maybe uncross your legs again. Just sit comfortable in your seat. And when you're comfortably seated, you can gently close your eyes. Take a breath in again. And exhale. Make sure that you're comfortable. Maybe you want to move your spine or your legs a little. Make sure that you're well seated where you are. Inhale and exhale and relax. Now place your hand over your heart and feel the presence of your hand at the center of your chest, on your heart. If your mind is going away, just gently bring it back with all your attention at the center of your chest, on your heart. Inhale gently and exhale longer and deeper and slower than usual. You want to keep a nice and comfortable rhythm, one that feels good for you. Inhale gently and exhale longer and deeper and slower than usual. And now just connect to the feeling of gratitude. Think of at least one thing that has happened today that you're grateful for. It can be something very small, a cup of good coffee, the smile of a person, or something more important that happened to you and that you were long waiting for. Connect to that gratitude and how it feels in your heart, how good it feels in your heart. Inhale the feeling in and exhale it longer and deeper and slower than usual. Just stay there in the feeling a little longer and trust that you can come back there at any time that you need it. Because it's always inside you and always will. And now with your next inhale, you can take a deeper breath in. Gently let the awareness come back inside your body. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back here with us. It's been decades now that there are organizations like the HeartMath Institute, for the ones who know about it, or some other organizations and people who are doing deep research about the heart, about the intelligence of the heart, about how it works and how powerful it is. The practice that we just did is something that I'm teaching and giving workshops on. It's called heart coherence, and it's a very easy, very simple, it's a 3-minute practice, 3 steps. Children can do it, elders can do it, it's for everybody. That brings the brain and the heart into coherence, now that you know what coherence is, into energetic coherence, into harmony. When the brain and the heart are in coherence, it's not only the thinking and the feeling, but because there is harmony there, your immune system starts to get into harmony, your nervous system also, your hormonal system, all the systems inside, they come into harmony. So the intelligence of the heart and the coherence of the heart is something that to me is essential for everybody. Of course, it has those effects that you might have been feeling now, like less stress because you have a lower cortisol or because it's been regulated, more intuition, clearer decision making. All of those effects are just the results of more harmony inside you. And that science is actually not that complicated. It's just that when we don't know about it, but the heart itself has an own neural network, just the same way that the brain has it. And what is super interesting in that is the heart is actually sending 3 times more signals to the brain and information to the brain that the brain is sending to the heart. But because it becomes conscious just when it reaches here, we think that it all starts here. But there is actually something signaling the brain before it becomes conscious, and that is the heart. So the heart itself, like some numbers, the heart works as a magnet. It's not like the brain where you have to put some probes on the brain to register the activity. The heart works as an amplifier, as a magnet. So everything that is on the feeling here is expanded around in your field. If you put a probe more than 3 meters away, that probe is not going to be able to read the activity of the brain, but it is going to be able to read the activity of the heart. That is how important the intelligence of the heart is in anything, in decision making, in leadership, in communication. It's a very powerful technique that can help, that could change totally the game of leadership, of innovation, of creativity. Just all of that can really be transcended when we take the ownership of that coherence. When we decide on purpose, I want to bring coherence in my body. I want to have a conversation and show up a certain way in a conversation. I want to start my Monday with a huge to-do list, but kind of get some clarity and get ownership on who I am and what I'm going to do. From that intelligence, not only from that one, just because it expands it so much and it's coming from another source than just the mind. And remember, the whole topic here is about AI and human intelligence. We have those tools, we have them. It's just that we didn't know yet about it. The heart is one of those. I'm going to try to keep it quite short because I want to respect the time also of everybody now, and I see that we're among time. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, there is a heart, emotional intelligence also, and we could have a whole course about what is emotional intelligence and how we can develop that. Again, we can talk about it later if you want to. But one of the things, and in this context of talking about human intelligence and artificial intelligence, one of the topics that I do want to bring up is trust. And that is directly linked also to emotional intelligence. So Charles Duhigg, I never know how to say that name, has written a book that is super interesting that is called Super Communicators. And he's talking about, communication from human to human and what makes us trust a person. And what he's explaining is that somehow if we're having a very good conversation together and go deep into the conversation, if you're opening up to me, if you're being super vulnerable to me, and that I'm not sharing the same level of depth, you're not going to trust me. There is something inside you that will not trust me if I'm not reaching the same level of depth, the same vulnerability, the same openness as the person in front. And that is super key to understand why there is something inside of us that is just essentially different from AI, and that AI, at least in my opinion, will not be able to duplicate. AI doesn't have the nuances. I'm not talking about resuming a whole bunch of books. I'm really talking about the depth and the truth and the vulnerability that comes in a conversation, the connection that we were talking about. AI doesn't have a story. It doesn't know how joyful it was when it was playing in the garden as a child and having a chocolate with a child, and it doesn't know neither about traumatic experiences. So how can you relate in a certain level of depth when you know in deep inside of you that it doesn't have that story? That authenticity is just not present in AI, just by essence of what it is. That is nothing wrong. AI is very good at what it is, but it is not human, and we are human. So that whole topic of trust and of what makes us human is key and is opening the door to that vulnerability, that reciprocity, that connection. When we really want to connect and you're opening up to me, and if I have to open also and to connect with you, or if I want to, then it means that I have to look inside myself. I have to know what's happening. I have to be courageous enough to share about it. And what are you going to think about it? Are you going to reject me? Are you going to abandon me? Am I not going to belong? Like all of those fears, those are the ones that are occurring when we reach that level of connection and we really talk about authenticity, trust, connection, and reciprocity. So yes, it does mean that us humans, we have quite some work right now. If you want to get and connect into that human intelligence that is ours, into all of that, into deep connections, into that intelligence that we have, but that requires us, that looks deep inside ourselves, and to dare to do that. And for that, of course, emotional intelligence is super important. That, to me, that should be taught at children's in school. Like, you cannot know what happens inside of you if you don't have a basic vocabulary. That sadness is not the same thing as anger. That a behavior might not be the feeling. How do you express it? How do you regulate it? How do you manage it? How do you optimize your life based on your emotional world? Also, how much do you know yourself, and what do you do when you're fearing something. When you're going to have a hard conversation with somebody, that you have to take a decision, and that is just human life. Like, we have to do that every day. We are living that every day. And especially as entrepreneurs, making decisions, the charge, having hard conversations is basically the daily life. But how do you react when you're fearing something, when you feel stressful, when you feel anxious, when you have doubts? Do you try to avoid them and kind of to bury them, which is a natural tendency just because we don't want to feel that way? Or do you have the courage, and have you muscled that courage to feel that, and we know how to act through it? Because that is real leadership. Emotional courage is exactly that, is that capacity and that muscle to feel everything so that you can do everything. So in a week as a tech week, where I believe half of the room has been an entrepreneur or founding or wanting to develop ideas, it's super fearful. There are doubts, there are decisions, and we have to go through them. Otherwise, things are just not happening. But aside of the work and like that purpose of creating stuff and having companies or startups, it's just part of the human life also. That is part of the human life to feel all of that. But the question is, how much can you want, and how much do you want to choose to feel that, to know that about yourself, and to know yourself so well that you can also hack yourself and know what step you have to take when you're feeling that. Because feelings are information, but they're not saying everything. Fear is going to make us take a step back. It doesn't mean that we don't have to do it. It just means that we're afraid to do it. That is the only meaning that it has. So that emotional courage is something that I really briefly wanted to bring up to you, because it is related to all of that. It is related to the deep differences that there are between humans and AI. If you want to raise as humans, we have to go through. We have to go through. There is no way out. That's what we have been doing for hundreds of years. We have to go through. So, of course, all of that are questions, and right now AI is expanding at a super, super fast rate. The question to me is, how fast can we expand that human intelligence? Can we train humans? Can we be together in that? When you know that the person in front of you is fearing exactly the same way, has the same doubts, how relieving is that? Because it's part of the human experience. So be together, the togetherness, the sharing, but also the knowing what we have to develop is of crucial importance right now. So yeah, in a very short and few notes, but I guess you got it. My point on that is that we don't need to compete with AI. We just really need to raise that human intelligence inside of us. It raises the question of, who do you want to be? If you want to build AIs, what are you coding into AI? What consciousness, what wisdom are you bringing into the AI? Because that is also the next future. What real leadership do you have about yourself, or where are the parts that you're delegating, your choices and your humanity? Those are all the questions that we are faced with now. And the good thing is that we're all in that together right now, so you're not alone in it. But yeah, it is of crucial importance now. And a sentence that I really like is, artificial intelligence may be our greatest creation, but human intelligence, when awakened, when connected to the heart, when embodied, it is what will lead us forward. AI can use the data, AI can treat the data, but we can choose a way. We can choose the direction. We can bring the leadership if we dare to be real stewards and real leaders, first of our own experience, but then also of the collective experience. That is it. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your time also.